Alright, good, because I don't think I can turn around at this point. Oh, folks, that does not sound good.
Come on, Don, what's under here? What's under here?
Alright, front wheels and back wheels. Alright, we made it. Alrighty, folks, take a look over to the left and the right as we go through here. You'll see some tusk marks in the clay. The elephants actually like to eat the clay. It provides them with a lot of beneficial minerals they don't get in the rest of their diet. Here's a young one over here to the left. Elephants actually have one of the longest childhoods in the animal kingdom. And it'll take them about 15 years to reach adulthood. At that time, the males will be chased off from the herd and they'll spend most of their adult life alone. So I'm guessing that first one we saw was probably a male because he was by himself. Whereas the females, they kind of stay together and they help raise each other's young and they work more in a team. They have a matriarchal society, so that means they have a dominant female instead of a dominant male. And we usually get a radio station going through here, so I'm going to see if I can pick up some tunes for everybody.
Oh man.
Now, researchers have been studying the elephants. They've actually discovered that, believe it or not, they're afraid of honeybees. And this has helped African farmers because they've been able to put up honeybee hives all over their lands to keep the elephants off. And keep them from having to use other methods of controlling the elephants that obviously be pretty harmful to them, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
Now coming up here on the left-hand side, you're going to see a flamboyance of flamingos. That's what a group of flamingos is called. These are greater flamingo. They're the tallest of the flamingo species. They're also the lightest in color. They get that color pink from the shrimp that they eat. It'll take them about a year to turn pink. They also smell delightful. Don't you just want a flamingo pond candle?
Wow.
We're going to make our way over to white rhino country now, folks.
Oh, yeah. I know.
Very slowly. Now, we used to see a lot of white rhinos out here, but unfortunately their horns are very highly valued on the black market. Because of this, poachers have amassed more and more of an income, which is helping them produce more sophisticated means for hunting these animals. And that's basically produced a vicious cycle that's once again placed them on the endangered list. It makes them very, very tough to spot. Oh, but of course, now that I say that, we're going to see a whole bunch of them. Oh, there's actually a baby one right there, folks.
Wow.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Aww.
You gotta zoom out.
Wow.
Bless you.
Look at that.
That's a baby. Oh, no, that's the baby right there.
Look at that. Say rhino.
Hey, everybody stay seated for me, please. Now, you're probably wondering why those are called white rhinos. They don't look very white at all. White's actually a misuse of the Afrikaans word "wide," which means wide, in reference to their very wide and very square jaws. So it has nothing to do with the color at all. It's actually just a misnomer. Those brown animals over there to the left, those are called bontebok. Bontebok are actually completely extinct in the wild, so you can only see them on reserves like this one. So get a good look at those bontebok. So, like I was saying, the name white rhino comes from their very wide square jaws. And they have those because they're grazers, so they like to eat big clumps of grass off the ground at one time. Whereas black rhinos are actually browsers, so they have a much more rounded off jaw with kind of a finger-like lip on it that they can use to grab things off of bushes and trees. Because that's how they prefer to eat. So that's actually the more reliable way of telling the difference between the two species is actually by their jaws and not by color. Now usually white rhinos are a little bit lighter in color than black rhinos, but as you can see it's not really that much different. It's not really a very reliable way of telling the difference. Now we're going to head out to the Kopi, which are large rock outcroppings found all over the savannah. They're usually a pretty good place to find some predators lying around. Hint, hint.
It's the king lion.
Why don't you go right there?
They're so much better than mine.
Alright folks, it sounds like most of y'all have seen those lions over there to the left. Looks like there's a male and a female. Now it's actually the female lions that do the majority of the hunting. They hunt during the early morning hours when it's nice and cool and still dark outside. And they'll use their nighttime eyesight, which is 6 times greater than a human's, as well as their sense of smell to track down their prey. They'll then remain inactive the other 18 to 20 hours out of the day when they're not hunting. Doesn't necessarily mean they're asleep like most people think. That's considered inactive even though they're awake. Now this animal right here next to us, this white animal, that's called an addax.
Wow.
Addax are desert animals. They actually have one really cool adaptation. They can actually live their entire lives without drinking a single drop of water. That's because they get all the water that they need from the vegetation that they eat. Take a look over here to the left, folks, as we go around this corner. You're going to see a warthog. Warthogs will use their razor-sharp tusks to dig those burrows you see, and then they'll back in with their tusks facing outwards. That's basically to let any predators that come along know, hey, don't bother me, I have weapons, and I do not want to be dinner. Now looks like we're going to get to see some zebras coming up here on the right-hand side. Does anybody know zebras are black with white stripes or white with black stripes?
Both.
They are black with white stripes. The reason we know that is if you look at their nose is completely black and it doesn't have any fur on it. So we know they're black with white stripes.
Wow. So cool.
Those are also Grant zebras. The reason I know is if you look at their stripes, they're very thick. They go all the way around their bodies, all the way around their tummy and everything. There's actually more than one species of zebra. I didn't know that until I started working here. The other one that you can see here in Harambe is called the Grevy zebras. And those can be found over the Pangani Forest Trail. They have very thin stripes that stop at their stomach. They have a completely solid white stomach. So you can see those over the Pangani Forest Trail. I'll tell you a little bit more about that trail in a few moments. There's actually an ostrich coming up here on the right-hand side, folks.
Wow.
Now, so we go by this ostrich, try and get a good look at its eyeball. Believe it or not, ostriches actually have the largest eyeball of any land animal.
Except for the giant squid.
That gives them great vision out here on the savannah. Helps them spot any predators that might be lurking out in the grass long before they get to them. Now this area is called Magadi Glen. It's one of the newer areas of our reserve, so a lot of the animals haven't quite figured out that it's safe for them to wander on in here yet. But it looks like some of the smarter ones might be over there to the left. Those are called scimitar horned orcs. They're on top of the hill. They get that name from the scimitar sword, which is that kind of curved Middle Eastern sword you probably see in movies. And their horns will get to be about 3 to 4 feet long, but they're actually very brittle and prone to breaking. So it's not uncommon to see one with a broken horn out in the wild. Now, unfortunately, folks, we are coming up on the end of our journey today. If you're interested in some more animal encounters, go check out that Pangani Forest Trail that I briefly mentioned earlier. That is a self-guided walking tour that usually takes folks about 20 minutes or so to do. It's definitely a lot of fun, definitely worth it. It's completely accessible, so you can take strollers, wheelchairs, and all that stuff down there too. So don't let walking tour discourage you. It's definitely a lot of fun, definitely worth it. You can spend as little time out there as you want, or as much. But you'll see a lot of the stuff that's out here on the reserve, like there's an underwater viewing window for the hippos. There's, you can see the okapi again. You can see a lot of stuff like that. But you can also see some stuff that's not out here on the reserve, like meerkats. You can see those Grevy zebras.
I want to go see that over top.
There's also 2 baby gorillas over there as well, folks. So go check that out over at the Pangani Forest Trail. Yep, 2 baby gorillas. So once again, just out the exit up the hill and to the right. Also, if you want to get out of the heat for a little while, go check out the Festival of the Lion King, which is put on every hour on the hour. It's about a half-hour long show with a lot of singing, dancing, and acrobatics, and fun for the whole family. It's my personal favorite show. It's really very, very, very good, so go check it out. And it's completely indoors, sit down in the air conditioning, so can't beat that here in Harambe. Go check that out.